Greetings everyone, this is Lodrik and this is a game War in the Pacific Admirals Edition, and today we return to the match against Jochen. Means we will check the combat activity for December 16th, 1941. You can see that I'm a little behind, but I try to do maybe today already 2 turns and maybe tomorrow the other next 2. Let's see. We had already very early in the first week of the war a lot of navy engagements all around Java, Borneo. Jochen try very active to defend his positions with some success, and like I said many times before, there's not much Japan can lose without suffering in the long run. So even if I lose only small equipment, it's hard to say how this will backfire for the Japanese side in 43, 44. In 42 I would say Japan have enough equipment if you don't run it completely like crazy to the ground, but it's really one destroyer per month is replacement possible for the Japanese in 42, 43, and the cruisers are also only 4 or 5 light cruisers are coming. So first in 44 the Japanese producing a lot of cheap destroyers. So here is one of this last Dutch, British, American destroyers from the turn before, where we had this heavy engagement. And this is next to Port Moresby, so I was able to bring one submarine position so far, 1 week after the start of the war. And here's a heavy mine layer, or cruiser mine layer, so maybe 5,000, 6,000 ton ships. They're normally really good only to create minefields in friendly ally bases. I think they don't have really much more purpose. But this means if I can sink now the cruiser mine layer, then it's maybe hard for Jochen to mine Port Moresby. Means if I ever try amphibious landing, it's more unlikely that I suffer mine hits. So, and I think the cruiser mine layer go down. This is this shitty Dutch, I don't know which was exactly this one, but the other one attacked my destroyer, and this destroyer, I think, I don't know if it was this destroyer, but this destroyer have heavy damage. And I was somehow really little unlucky maybe last turn that this last engagement of my battle cruisers, my destroyer suffer somehow too much damage. And out of this, I think then later I had the air strikes from the P-40s, 2 bomb hits, and 1 submarine also make a submarine hit. This was simply too much in too short time and turned the whole Navy engagement a little against me. I would still say, of course, I sunk much more, but if I say I must have a kill ratio at least from 1 to 3, so it means I must kill 3 times the numbers of destroyers and cruisers. I think this is what I must have, simply because I fight against England and USA plus Australia and smaller other countries, Dutch, New Zealand, and they have still the numbers. So And this is near to Batavia. Only some fast cruiser formation trying to go fast in, clean up enemy port and see what there is. And these are only some, I think, minesweepers. Maybe Jochen try to use the minesweepers to clean my minefield. And I kill now his minesweepers. So the idea is more or less that I block the street of Singapore and I also block here the street from Batavia. So if Jochen want run out of this area, he must go and pass near Surabaya. And near Surabaya, I have my cruisers, battleships, and carrier division. So the strategic operational idea is slow down every ship movement and at least try to catch some of them. And slow everything down so that the allied player, in this case Jochen, have not an easy way to bring out too much supplies, too much oil, too many units, so that he maybe only can escape with air units, because air units I cannot intercept, and the rest maybe must left behind. Of course, this is never 100% possible. So, and this is now also Batavia. And this is my second heavy cruiser formation. And here we find, I think this is the opposite. This is now his his mine layer formation. So just now there was a mine sweepers to sweep my Japanese mine. And these are now Dutch, British, but only all small local mine layers and mine cruisers. So only that so defense mines. So Jochen tried to lay mines to make it more risky for me to enter the hexes with my surface and submarine ships. And I simply try to wipe out him. And here I think this was one of the first torpedo hits, surface torpedo hits. But of course on a totally unimportant battle now here. This is now only a slaughter, because mine layers, they have nothing, they only can lay mines. So I can wipe them out and take the points and be happy. And of course it's training. I would still say every ship I can sink with my heavy units give the crew training, and this will later give me a better chance to engage in 42 ally ships. Simply the technology will be more and more against me. Already now the allies have radar, and I will be always 1 or 2 generations of radars behind the allies, so there's normally no way I can catch up technology wise, so I only can try to keep my units at very high experience level, so that maybe I can create hits out of skill and not out of technology. So anyway, I get some points, but nothing really will help me here now. Okay, this is more a hit now, maybe for morale boost, that I can now sink, very likely sink now the last or one of the last ships of this surface engagement or surface formation for the allies. So it's opened up more or less the opportunity for me that there is no surface unit more left in this area. There are only enemy submarines and enemy air force. And yeah, we have the sinking sound, so this destroyer also go down. This is only near Pearl Harbor, the standard submarine against Sub Hunter, and nothing happened. So far, a turn in favor of Japan, but also nothing really critical. And my subhunters cannot find the enemy submarine. But the ally subhunters are also not so good, at least now in the early the war. Ally subhunter equipment can always attack deep water, so ally can always hunt everywhere submarines. It's really only then up to the equipment level. It's maybe also not strong enough, we need more hits, and it's also maybe the experience level of the crews of the destroyer or whatever subhunter units are not high, so they don't know how to engage maybe the submarine. But the equipment itself can attack anytime, already at day one, deep water. And the Japanese, they have very few ships can do this. And here I lose somehow on the very edge, close to my port, one of my destroyers, and I saw no warning for this. I mean, the destroyer had some damage, there was a possibility that the ships go down, but it was a little surprise for me that I lose here one additional destroyer after already 3 before. So I think now I'm down to 4 destroyers, and I think at least 2 from these 4 destroyers was good destroyers. Naja. But it's war. If I would now here win every battle similar to the dojo game without losing anything, I'm not sure. With the dojo game I already find sometimes a little strange that I don't know. I mean, dojo play simply is very passive, so I always can decide which engagement I want to take, and maybe I also played very bold, and I don't know if other Japanese player be so in this style. I don't know. I really don't know. I lack the experience with many matches. I only can say that dojo was always a little surprised, but he always he was not angry about this. He always say he is so happy that we have this active turn. But somehow he also say that he plays so often before and he never had this before. So I don't know. I feel a little strange about this. Anyway, with Jochen I try even to be more aggressive. With dojo I already hold back sometimes, because I was not sure if it's really working like this. And now in this match I use the experience from the dojo game and try to optimize my movements a little more, but also risk more. So like here I go now in, this is source of Philippines, my light cruiser formation against some cargo ships. I saw them, they trying to unload some, I think, units or supplies, and I try to sink them quickly and run away, because I know that I think that at least before there was some Catalinas operating here, and at least some of them I think are the Type 5, and the Type 5 Catalinas, they can use torpedoes, and I think Type 4 only bombs. There's some difference, and the torpedoes of course always simply one hit, one kill often. I can only hope that like a Mark 14, also a Mark 13. This Mark 13 is the same like a Mark 14, only Mark 14 is submarine torpedo, Mark 13 is air drop torpedo, and I'm not more sure. I think Mark 15 is surface launch torpedo of destroyers, cruisers, and I think Mark 16 is then the PT boat sub variant. Something like this, but they are all based on the Mark 14. They're all the same technology, and they all lack this the reliability that they really explode on impact. Yes. So I gamble a little. This is a little risky move, because normally I'm not fast enough to go in, kill this cargo ship formation and run away. But the destroyers are very hard to attack. Skillful pilots, and I think the Americans are not the best for this. So we will see. This is no slaughter. I mean, of course, again, like with the cruisers, I get some experience. Why not? really only problem is that these Japanese light cruisers, they are really nothing more than big destroyers. Their guns are not strong than destroyer guns. They carrying really only, I don't know, Japanese light cruisers are really only useful for hunting enemy cargo and enemy destroyer, so maybe they're good for hunting enemy shipping, cargo shipping stuff, so maybe escort attacks they can do, but I don't know if really light cruisers, especially these Japanese light cruisers, are good for enemy light cruiser, I think I will always lose in the long run. Because a 14 centimeter gun, especially these old 14 centimeter guns, they have far too less firepower compared to allied 6-inch guns. There was a development for the Japanese. They have this new type of light cruiser, but then they never really built it. They built only the prototype, but I think I get this first in end of 42 or beginning of 43. And the Mogami heavy cruisers, they was normally light cruisers. And this Mogami light cruiser guns, they are 15.5 centimeter light cruiser guns, and they are really top of the art, and they are really good. There's simply no way in this kind of game that you rebuild your light cruisers. I would normally like to kick out all of these light cruisers the Japanese have and get some Mogami light cruiser style stuff. But there's some limitation in these games, so there's no way to choose this. So it would be funny. It's in PTO2, a game very similar to this, but 10 years older. There was this option that you can choose what kind of ships you want built. You can design your own ships in some ways, and if you can survive the game, the war long enough, then after 1 or 2 years you can get your own created ships. Of course, it was possible to make something very strange stuff, but yeah, it was a game. I still try to get rid of these allied submarines here, and it's not easy. Luckily they are here all in shallow water, and I can at least make a little more damage. And here is now some information that you can read it down in the yellow text. Every, I think, Navy task force can only have maximum 25 ships. So, and there's now one ship, I think, too much. So, because there are more than there are 26 ships. So, I must redesign, I think, my task forces. I only told them merge, and then I don't realize there are too many ships inside. Yeah. So this was the night and the Navy engagement. All in all, I killed some allied cargo ships, some mine layer and some mine sweeper. I would say it's good. Nothing I am very, proud about it, and nothing will normally change here anything. I must only survive now this air attacks. I'm really only worried that normally some shitty stuff will happen here. But we will see. First we have here a lot of scouting, some Dutch airplanes trying to attack me, but of course not possible. They are only Dutch pilots. I bring some zeros to China simply because I was a little tired of this Chinese P-40s. I mean, if they are flying Tigers, I would maybe understand it, but now these are only Chinese pilots. And everyone knows that the Chinese, they have a shitty pilot. So, if they are successful in China, then I have a problem. So I don't like this, so I won't get rid of them. And I have now nothing else to do for my zeros so far. So I try to, in the next coming weeks, simply, it's very similar to the dojo game, at least force the enemy, Air Force, to return far away back to bases only for training, but not more active war. But for this I must catch them somewhere and kill enough airframes. This is only some support bombardment. One Buffalo is also left in Singapore, but only one, so some leftover equipment. Now we have a clean kill, no problem. So the skies of Singapore are, I think, clean. All my light Chinese bombers. More strikes on Georgetown simply because I have not much better target up to now, and I need to take these two bases in the north of Malaya to bring my forces more south. The main goal is normally to link the railway. If I can open the railway from Thailand down to Singapore, then I can move in heavy equipment very fast. Yeah, and I keep here my Tojos more or less running in south of China simply to make sure that normally that Jochen cannot use his P-40s in this area. So if he try to use his P-40 to intercept my bombers, then he always risks that he encounters now the Tojos. And the same I do normally with my Zeros. I keep them up, and so far, if I have no better target, I can keep it like this. So far, nothing special. Standard Chinese bombardment or air war in China. Okay, this is now this gambling. I hope simply that the Catalinas cannot create a torpedo hit. So, and no hit. Yeah, and there's one thing maybe some people realize is there's always I think 4 possible attack runs for a bomber, striking from the port side and the starboard side, or coming from the rear or from the front or the stern. This is working for every bombing strike. It doesn't matter which direction normally the airstrike is. It's only then calculate which flak gun can operate. But if the airplane is a torpedo bomber, there's also this kind of calculation. And a torpedo attack can only be possible from port side or starboard side. So every attack from behind or from the front will automatically fail. And if this happens, then you simply hear no sound. Sometimes you hear the sound that something touching the water, this flash, you can hear it in the animation. And then you know that the torpedo is dropped but hit nothing. But if you hear nothing, then you know this torpedo attack run was completely a failure. And only that to explain this. So now the torpedo bomber is coming and make a starboard attack. So this is successful. Now we hear water and we have explosion, but I mean hit but no explosion. Now it's from port side. We kill one. So this was of course so means both attacks was first lucky that they make a attack from the right side. The first attack create a hit but no explosion because it's a shitty Mark 13, and the second attack come also from the right side, make a hit and the explosion. So all the pity stuff and all the unluck hit me together. Maybe also to say this was 8 airplanes, but every airplane carried 2 torpedoes, so we had an attack of 16 torpedoes. And all of the 16 torpedoes really was attacking my cruiser now. 8 torpedoes from one side and 8 torpedoes from the other side. Now I can only hope that this, but of course I can already see heavy damage, because this was a critical hit, not a normal hit. So I think like a critical hit make always double damage, something like this, and these are only light cruisers, and they are Japanese light cruisers. So I don't know if this will be a big problem, or maybe always the end of my cruiser. This was, you can maybe say this was something like a Bismarck strike, because in the last moment a critical hit, only this is a light cruiser, not a battleship. So, but no more. Of course, everywhere float planes, so no other air activity. So it was really the shitty last attack cripple my cruiser. Now I only can hope that my crew can control the damage, and after I get the damage under control, maybe I must try to escape this. But here's my next destroyer going down. But this destroyer was really heavily damaged and crippled already, and out of reach to ever return to base. one last sub attack, sub hunter attack with 6 damage. So maybe after so many strikes here, I can hopefully count this submarine, be crippled and forced to return to base. The question is which base. Manila will not be more long under Japanese, under American control. So every crippled submarine is now normally a dead submarine. Pick up here only some base, because here's normally a small base. There can be some airplanes operating here out, or submarines, so I simply only pick up everything where normally the Dutch units have at least some equipment. Here I try to clean the road to have a, my first goal is to block this road, and the second was normally to control the hex, but the Chinese troops are here stronger than I expected, and maybe I was also a little unlucky, I don't know, because my assault value simply break. I mean, the Chinese also break down 50%, but I don't expect it like this. On the other hand, in the Philippines we can here now, not wipe out, but cripple this Philippine unit. So this looks normal. This is what I expected. This is the second or third battle of Johor Bahru, but I only want to try it. But the Australian unit still holding the ground. But at least I think one unit just give up. Yeah. So one unit is destroyed. But I don't know what. Maybe the guns. But it was again. I mean, I have only disabled, similar to the British, only disabled. Only the guns have more destroyed. But and the fort level is again down to 0. So, but I need a little more reinforcements to, I think, win here the battle. But it's okay. Most important is the road to Singapore is blocked. And all the rest is not important for me. This is only this. From Jochen, he makes some bombardment to test my attack value. So we have now 197, very equally attack value here normally. No one is really strong enough to defeat the other one. So, and this is the end of December 16th. Normally a good turn, I mean not a good turn, but a turn I can say everything works more or less than I expected. Only the one destroyer I was sure I will lose. The other destroyers I had a hope that I can reach the port, but okay, then not. And that torpedo hit on my light cruiser was I don't know, if maybe unlucky, I don't know. I mean, it was a gamble, and maybe lost it. Good. So not too active. So the air war was maybe, I don't know. Was there any air war really? I can kill at least 2 of the Catalinas, and I don't know what is this. This is, I think, maybe some Dutch stuff. And I can kill this one last Buffalo in Singapore. Now maybe Singapore is completely empty. So, but 4-2 is nothing. And for out of these 2 airframes, 1 pilot is wounded and 1 is killed. Okay, but no real air war. Ship sunk. Last turn was for the Japanese. I lost. This destroyer was sure. This was this 500-pound bomb, and if I remember, I think this destroyer also had a torpedo attack. I am not more sure, but this was completely crippled. It is also an 8-point good destroyer. This is a Fubuki class. The Fubuki class is the first class of good destroyers. Everything older than Fubuki, I would say, is only support stuff, but Fubukis are normally frontline fighter units. They have 2000 tonnage, so they can really operate with every cruiser and battleship in the battle line. So shame to lose them. And this is something like I don't know, maybe the cheap Fubuki class. I don't know how you want really call this. They are a little more light built and a little, but they have the same heavy caliber stuff. So they also have this 5-inch stuff. They also have good anti-submarine equipment already. Not many, but and they also have normally not so bad anti-aircraft. So they are similar to Fubuki class. They are only, I think, a little slower and I think a little less equipment. But with 7 points are still okay. These are normally destroyers simply more cheap. You could build. There was maybe the option for Japan, build a lot of this cheaper but still good destroyers, or build something even bigger and better but build less. And the Japanese simply choose later to build even bigger 2,500 ton, 3,000 ton destroyers, but less. And this was maybe the wrong choice, but it's hard to say. At that point, maybe no one knows really what is better, and quality or quantity. For a short war, quality is always more important. But if you have a long war, you need more quantity. So, anyway, this is an intelligence report. We had not much more in China. I think it's only China is everything moving slowly. I hope to have here in the source of Nanchang maybe next turn a big battle and maybe kick this Chinese unit out of the hex. Don't know if I can do this. But everything else in China is static. I think need 2-3 turns to bring my units back in the next good position. Hong Kong is free, so I have only now here some minesweepers. Oh, so slow. So I sweeping the mines that I can maybe have next turn or next turn latest Hong Kong clean. And again, Hong Kong was without really any damage, so I was very lucky with taking over Hong Kong. Not bad, not bad. In Malaya, maybe Malaya also need a little more time. I must bring additional forces here, so I unloading here now. Oops, here additional army division, so I bring more fighting force here to Mersing. Here's the British units. Somehow I don't know why. Somehow this unit was behind my line, and maybe try to take the base back. But failed last time, so I don't know why exactly. So I can normally still unload my units, and if I make amphibious unloading on my own base, I will not suffer landing losses. So this is most important for me. And I also have here some tank forces I bring down simply. Wait, no, a little slower. So I will move this tank units also in this hex, make sure that Mersing will not flip over to the Allies, British back. But this unloading need also 2-3 turns, so 2-3 turns, then I have my new units here. Then I can reinforce units in Johor and take maybe the base around, I don't know, 21st, latest at Christmas I won't take Johor. And maybe at Christmas I also can take your Georgetown and maybe already Taiping. And then it's only a race against to take Kuala Lumpur. And if I can take end of the month all the railway, then I can maybe in the first week of January take Singapore. Nothing more here in Borneo. Borneo is only like I jump now with my 2 Navy Guard unit. So slow. So I took Brunei. I have here 2 Navy Guard units, and I use them always to jump from one base to the next, and pick here everything up. Only Tarakan I must maybe stop, but I want to first take all these bases here to make sure that here's no air base left. I know that the enemy air base is here in the Philippines still, and I must find a way to stop them, but we will see. This is my light cruiser, and there really is only 1 torpedo hit. I bet, I don't know, maybe because this Catalina carrying 2 torpedoes, so I'm not 100% sure. Maybe these are 2 torpedo hits and it only shows like 1 torpedo hit. Because 1 torpedo hit, I would say 79 flotation damage is a little crazy. Especially because it's all major. So, because I only get information the last hit was a 22-inch torpedo. But maybe this was a double torpedo hit. And then this would explain why I have here so much flotation damage. Or it is simply because this is a light cruiser with nearly no armor, and it was a critical hit. At the end it doesn't matter because I have here, the main problem is this high flotation damage is hard to control. But more important is I have here now a max speed of only 6 knots. So I can only make 1 hex per phase. So in the night I can make 1, 2, so I can maybe I don't know if I can make 1. Normally I can only make 2 hex per day. And the next base I have here is here in the north, but I normally must go here because here is a hex I can control. Very unlikely that I can just bring my light cruiser back, but then it is like it is. The other light cruiser, luckily no problem. But if I want now lose this light cruiser, is a little a shame, but cannot change it. Normally I can upgrade this to later on, but it's first in, this is, I get first in April of 43 I upgrade to make some use of this ship. First, it's, with this configuration I can make a deep water submarine attack. Yeah, but I don't know if a light cruiser is a good ship to make a submarine attack, and I get some air radar. But still this equipment is not really the best. So, and then now it's already May 44. Now I get surface radar. But I still have only this shitty 14 centimeter guns, and they are not better than any destroyer gun. And the last upgrade is yeah. Maybe these ships are better for escort duty. Hard to say how to play them, but yeah. Very likely that this light cruiser is dead. Anyway, so I have, you know, still some stuff I must try to bring home, and this is this leftover destroyer, cannot merge with the rest. If I can save at least this, but this is only a 6-point destroyer, so this is only a light. Yeah, this is a destroyer, the same firepower like American destroyer, so this is normally exactly what I would normally give away without having any trouble to lose it, because this kind of ships are never really frontline units. I can upgrade them later to, yeah, I don't know what you can really do with them. They're getting radar at the beginning of 43, this is not bad, and they have this deep water equipment, so they are good for escort duty, they are convoy escort stuff, but not frontline fighting stuff normally, but yeah. So, if I can save this destroyer, why not? I try it. And here, This is the other destroyer, only little damage. I don't know what happened. 4.5 or 12 centimeters. This is a Dutch gun. So one hit of this Dutch gun or shell create a little damage here, slow down this whole ship, but normally not too much. Yeah, and this is the other destroyer. This destroyer get much more hits, so it's always the last hit. So maybe before something else. This is a good destroyer. This destroyer I will normally keep because it's also for Buki 2 class. But we will see. If I can save these two destroyers at least, then I would. This is the minimum I must normally save. And my battleships, if I can open this now. Here are my two Nagato battleships. The Mutsu with the many hits, but no really penetration of the armor, so only system damage. So this is easy to fix. I'm now here in Brunei, so it shows me now a long repair time. But I'm normally only here to make some emergency fixing for my, more or less normally for my destroyer. So I will soon be here out again, and normally I must only wait that the port of Hong Kong is free, because I must bring my battleships to Hong Kong, and the destroyer I can bring to the shipyard of Saigon. I can also say that I maybe take Singapore. If I can take Singapore in the next 1 or 2 weeks, then I maybe also can stay in Brunei and make 2 weeks emergency repair in Brunei, and then go to Singapore and repair the ship in Singapore. I don't know. Singapore have a shipyard of 51. If it's not gets damaged like in Dojo game, maybe it's also a possibility. Yeah, and here was I think one more. Oops, not so far. And this is the last heavy, front damage unit. This is also a destroyer, 7 class. So this is also something I can normally use for frontline fighting already with a better gun and equipment. And this guy get a small 50 kilogram bomb, but only the last hit before something else. So I have here some equipment I would normally save, but the most important equipment is already dead. So if I can check again, all lost, all turns, not last turn, all days. And if I say no destroyers, so I lost one support destroyer, I would say it doesn't matter, but I lost 4 good destroyers. These are not the top of the art destroyers, but they are all good. They are all for me frontline destroyers. And 4 first class destroyer. Maybe not first class destroyer, maybe this is a second class destroyer, but still they're good enough. The first class destroyer I would normally say is something I have here. They are 10-point ships. Kagero class. This is normally, they have a little more tonnage. They have not 2,000, they have 2,500 tonnage. And they are a little better. They getting better upgrade paths later on. And radar and everything. So this is normally one of the best, or the best Japanese destroyer. And I think the Allies never built this kind of high class destroyers. They always built ordinary stuff, but simply in numbers that no Japanese navy can handle this. The Americans simply only win by numbers. Simply with the Sherman tanks are also, they are okay, but they are nothing really step forward development. But they are maybe cheap to produce, and you can produce a lot of them, so you win with numbers. Anyway, this is first enough for today. Thank you all. See you. Bye bye.